My friends, we find ourselves at a moment in history when the noise is loud, the divisions are deep, and the temptation to give in to cynicism is strong. But I stand before you today to say, I have seen the heart of America, and I have never been more confident in our capacity to rise above the fear, the anger, and the doubt. Now I know there are voices, powerful voices, who would have you believe that the best days are behind us, that our unity is a weakness, that our compassion is a liability, that our future belongs to the loudest shouter in the room, not the steady hands and open hearts of the American people. And yes, some of those voices belong to a former president, Donald Trump. But here's what I know: leadership isn't about tearing others down so you can stand taller. It's about lifting others up so we all rise together. Leadership is not measured by the size of your rallies or the sharpness of your insults. It's measured by the strength of your character, the integrity of your actions, and the hope you leave in the hearts of those you serve. I've traveled across this nation, from small towns in Iowa to neighborhoods in Detroit, from farms in Kansas to classrooms in Los Angeles. I've met people who, despite hardship, never stopped believing in the promise of this country. I've seen single parents working 2 jobs while studying at night so they can give their children a better life. I've seen veterans who've lost limbs but refuse to lose faith in the country they fought for. I've seen young people organizing in their communities because they know the future is theirs to shape. These aren't headlines. These aren't talking points. These are ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. And they are proof that real strength doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from serving others. Now, I understand that the path forward will not be easy. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when progress feels too slow, when justice feels too far away. But change has never come overnight. Change comes because people refuse to quit. We've done this before. We've faced greater storms. We've endured darker nights. And every single time, the American spirit has carried us through. So, to those who believe that division is destiny, I say, you're wrong. To those who believe that anger is power, I say you've mistaken fear for strength. And to those who think the American people can be bullied into hopelessness, I say you've never met the America I know. We are a nation that believes in the dignity of every human being. We are a people who understand that our differences are not a threat, but a source of strength. And when we stand together, when we look out for one another, when we listen more than we shout, when we choose hope over fear, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. This is our moment. Not to shrink back, not to settle for less than we deserve, but to step forward with unstoppable confidence in the values that have carried us this far. Because in the face of doubt, we choose determination. In the face of hate, we choose love. In the face of division, we choose unity. And in the face of those who say, you can't, we say, yes, we can. Leadership is measured by character, not by insults or crowd size. True leadership is not about how many people cheer your name or how loud your voice can dominate a room. It is about the substance of your words, the integrity behind your actions, and the principles you are willing to stand for even when they are unpopular. A leader's worth is not determined by the size of the audience they attract, but by the positive impact they have on the lives of others. Crowd size can be deceiving. A stadium filled with people may roar with excitement, but if that energy is built on division, anger, or fear, it is fragile. Real influence is not about rallying masses for a single moment, but about inspiring hearts and minds for a lifetime. Character, on the other hand, is steady. It is consistent in the quiet moments when no one is watching, in the hard decisions made without applause, and in the sacrifices taken for the greater good. Insults are easy. Anyone can attack an opponent, belittle a critic, or tear down a rival. But it takes strength, restraint, and wisdom to rise above the temptation to demean others. The greatest leaders in history have been those who, instead of adding fuel to the fire of division, worked to calm it. They understood that words can heal or harm, unite or divide, build or destroy. Leaders who choose their words to inspire, rather than to insult, leave behind a legacy that outlives them. Character is about honesty when it is inconvenient, fairness when it is costly, and compassion when it is undeserved. It is about keeping promises and standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. It is about taking responsibility for mistakes instead of blaming others, and giving credit to the team instead of seeking all the praise for oneself. Leadership built on character earns trust, and trust is the foundation of lasting influence. Without trust, followers may gather in the moment, but they will not stand with you in the storm. Crowds can be won with spectacle, but loyalty is earned through respect. And respect does not come from how loud you speak, but from how deeply you care about the people you serve. Ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things prove our nation's true strength. In every city, in every small town, in every rural community across this country, there are stories that rarely make the headlines, but tell us everything about who we are. They are the single mother in Ohio working double shifts to keep a roof over her children's heads while studying late into the night to earn her nursing degree. They are the retired teacher in Montana who spends her mornings volunteering at the local library, reading to kids whose parents are working long hours. They are the firefighters in California running toward flames when everyone else is running away, risking their own lives to save the lives of strangers. These people are not celebrities. They are not politicians. They don't hold press conferences or post grand speeches online. They wake up each morning, face the challenges in front of them, and keep going because they understand that responsibility is not just a word. It is a duty. Their quiet determination is the backbone of our democracy and the heartbeat of our nation's resilience. When we talk about America's greatness, it is easy to think about big moments in history, the wars we've won, the technological achievements we've pioneered, the global influence we've built. But the truth is, our real strength comes from the countless acts of service, sacrifice, and perseverance carried out by everyday people. It's the neighbor who shovels snow from an elderly couple's driveway without being asked. It's the student who spends weekends tutoring younger kids for free because he knows how it feels to struggle. It's the small business owner who keeps her shop open not just to earn a living, but to provide jobs for people in her community. Extraordinary acts often come from those who have the least to spare. The man who donates blood every month, even though he fears needles, because he knows it could save someone's life. The volunteer who drives hours to deliver food to families in need. The soldier who, far from home, puts the mission above himself because he believes in protecting the freedoms we enjoy. None of these individuals act for fame or recognition. They act because it is the right thing to do. We live in a time where loud voices and dramatic headlines can overshadow the quiet, steady work that truly moves our country forward. But if you look closely, you'll see that it is the teacher who stays after school to help a struggling student, the nurse who works a double shift during a crisis, the teenager who organizes a fundraiser for disaster relief that truly embody what it means to be American. They are reminders that patriotism is not just waving a flag, it is rolling up your sleeves and doing the hard work that helps others. These ordinary Americans don't wait for permission to make a difference. They don't wait for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions. They start where they are, with what they have, and they do what they can. And in doing so, they remind us all that greatness is not reserved for a select few. It is possible for anyone willing to give their time, their effort, and their heart to a cause greater than themselves. Division is not destiny. Unity is our greatest power. Throughout history, moments of division have tested the very fabric of our nation. political rivalries, cultural differences, economic inequality. These challenges have threatened to pull us apart time and again. And yet, each time we have chosen to bridge the gap, to reach across divides, we have emerged stronger. That choice, the choice to unite, has never been easy, but it has always been the right one. It is tempting to believe that division is inevitable, that human beings will always split into camps, protect their own, and close their ears to those who think differently. But if we accept that belief, we accept the slow unraveling of our shared humanity. The truth is, division thrives only when we feed it with suspicion, with fear, with a refusal to listen. Unity, on the other hand, is not born out of sameness, but out of the courage to embrace difference and still see each other as part of the same story. Our nation is made up of people from every background imaginable. Farmers in the Midwest, tech innovators in Silicon Valley, factory workers in the Rust Belt, immigrants starting anew in crowded cities, and generations whose ancestors have called this land home for centuries. Each has their own perspective, their own dreams, their own struggles. It is precisely this diversity that makes us powerful. The strength of America is not in everyone thinking or looking the same, but in finding common purpose despite those differences. We have seen what happens when unity prevails. In the darkest days of the Great Depression, communities came together to help one another survive. During the Civil Rights Movement, men and women of all races marched side by side to demand justice. In times of disaster, whether it be hurricanes, wildfires, or pandemics, neighbors who may never have spoken before have joined hands to deliver supplies, rescue the stranded, and comfort the grieving. Unity is not a passive thing. It requires work. It means listening to those you disagree with, not because you want to change your own mind, but because you value their humanity enough to hear them out. It means recognizing that someone else's success does not diminish your own, and that lifting others up is not charity. It is an investment in the shared strength of our society. It means holding fast to the idea that we can criticize one another without dehumanizing one another. Division tells us that us and them are locked in a zero-sum game, that one side's gain must be another's loss. Unity tells us that progress for one can be progress for all. Division says, protect what's yours. Unity says, build something together. Division is fueled by scarcity, fear, and resentment. Unity is fueled by hope, abundance, and trust. We cannot deny that there are real disagreements in our politics, our policies, and even in our values. But disagreement alone does not have to become division. Healthy debate sharpens our ideas and strengthens our democracy. It is only when debate turns into hatred, when opponents become enemies, that division begins to rot the foundation of our shared life. In a world that is more connected than ever, we cannot afford to retreat into our corners. The challenges we face, climate change, economic inequality, public health crisis, global security, do not stop at state lines or national borders. They demand collective action. They require us to pull together resources, ideas, and the best of our talents. That is something division can never achieve. Only unity has the power to solve problems that are bigger than any one of us. There is a simple truth that history has proven again and again. United people are hard to defeat. They are resilient in the face of hardship. They are innovative in moments of uncertainty. They inspire others to join them, because unity is contagious. When people see a group working together despite differences, they are reminded that it is possible to disagree and still move forward. Unity does not erase individuality. It does not mean we abandon our beliefs or silence our convictions. It means we bring those convictions to the table and work to find solutions that respect the dignity of all. It means recognizing that while we may not agree on everything, we can agree on the fundamental worth of every person and the shared responsibility to make our communities better. The work of unity is not grand speeches or political promises alone. It is built in everyday acts. It is a handshake between rivals, a compromise between lawmakers, a shared meal between neighbors from different walks of life. It is the decision to see the humanity in someone whose vote, religion, or culture is different from your own. And every time we make that choice, we weaken the hold that division tries to have over us and strengthen the bonds that keep us moving forward together. Real strength comes from service, not domination. Too often in history, power has been mistaken for the ability to control others, to bend them to one's will, to demand obedience through fear or force. But true strength does not lie in making others smaller so that you can appear larger. True strength is measured by the ability to lift others up, to place their needs alongside, and sometimes above, your own, and to act not out of ego, but out of responsibility. Service is the quiet work that often goes unnoticed, the labor done without fanfare or applause. It is the nurse tending to patients through the exhaustion of a double shift, knowing she may not have a moment to rest until every life in her care has been attended to. It is the teacher who stays long after the final bell, helping a struggling student understand a lesson because they see not just a grade, but a future. It is the soldier who stands guard through the night in a far-off land, not for glory, but so others may sleep in peace. Domination seeks submission. Service seeks empowerment. When someone dominates, they build walls, barriers that separate leader from follower, ruler from ruled. They rely on fear to maintain their position. But service builds bridges. It draws people closer, fosters trust, and creates bonds that cannot be broken by intimidation. A leader who serves is not followed because they are feared, but because they are respected and trusted. History has shown that domination is fragile. It may appear strong in the moment, but it depends on keeping others down, and the moment people find their voice, that power begins to crumble. Service, however, plants roots deep into the soil of human connection. It creates loyalty born not of obligation, but of gratitude. People will stand beside a servant leader, not because they must, but because they choose to. Service requires humility. It means admitting that no one has all the answers, that wisdom can come from the most unexpected places, and that the role of a leader is as much about listening as it is about speaking. It demands empathy, the ability to feel what others feel, to understand their struggles, and to act in ways that ease their burdens. It asks for patience, because service is rarely rewarded quickly. The fruits of such labor may not be seen for years, sometimes even decades. Domination thrives in the short term, feeding on quick victories and visible displays of control. Service thrives in the long term, building trust, nurturing relationships, and leaving behind a legacy that endures long after titles have faded. A person who dominates may be remembered for their power, but a person who serves will be remembered for their impact. Real strength in service is not weakness. It does not mean passivity or the absence of conviction. It is the courage to do what is right even when it is unpopular, the resolve to stand firm against injustice while still treating opponents with dignity. Service is active. It is work, sacrifice, and often risk. It means being willing to put yourself in harm's way for the benefit of another, to carry a burden so that someone else might walk more freely. In families, real strength comes from the parent who works tirelessly to provide stability and love for their children, not from ruling the household through fear. In communities, it comes from neighbors who look out for each other, who organize to solve problems together, not from one group forcing its will on another. In nations, it comes from governments that see themselves as caretakers of the people, not as masters of them. The paradox of service is that in giving away your time, your energy, your talents, you actually gain something far more valuable: the trust and respect of those around you. That trust becomes a force multiplier, enabling more to be accomplished together than could ever be achieved through control alone. And unlike domination, which breeds resistance, Service inspires cooperation. Service-based strength also has the unique ability to cross boundaries. It speaks a universal language. Kindness, compassion, and dedication are understood in every culture and every corner of the globe. When someone serves selflessly, their actions resonate far beyond their immediate sphere of influence. They spark others to act in kind, creating ripples of positive change that reach places they may never see. Domination narrows the vision to a single will. Service expands it to the hopes and needs of many. Domination seeks to preserve the self. Service seeks to preserve the whole. Domination is loud, but fleeting. Service is quiet, but lasting. And while domination often leaves fear in its wake, service leaves a legacy of trust, unity, and resilience that stands the test of time. In the face of fear and doubt, we choose hope. Yes, we can. Fear has a way of freezing us in place. It whispers that the obstacles are too great, that the risks are too high, that the future is too uncertain. Doubt creeps in alongside it, convincing us that we are not strong enough, not smart enough, not ready enough to meet the challenges ahead. Together, fear and doubt can build invisible walls around us, keeping us from moving forward, from taking the steps we know deep down we must take. But hope is the force that breaks through those walls. Hope does not deny the reality of hardship. It sees the mountain clearly and chooses to climb it anyway. Hope is the belief that tomorrow can be better than today, and that each of us has a role to play in making it so. It is not blind optimism or nod of a cheerfulness. It is the deep conviction that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will come, and that our actions, small or large, can help bring it closer. Throughout history, hope has been the fuel that carried people through moments that seemed impossible. The hope of freedom sustained those who endured years of injustice and oppression. The hope of peace drove nations to come together after the devastation of war. The hope of equality pushed generations to march, to speak out, to organize, even when the odds were stacked against them. Hope has never been a passive state. It is active, demanding courage, persistence, and faith. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but hope thrives in possibility. Fear asks, what if we fail? Hope asks, what if we succeed? Fear narrows our focus to everything that could go wrong. Hope widens it to everything that could go right. Fear paralyzes, hope mobilizes. It moves us from hesitation to action, from despair to determination. When we face fear and doubt, the choice to embrace hope is not always easy. It can feel like stepping into the unknown with no guarantee of success. But every great achievement begins with someone deciding that hope is worth the risk. It is the entrepreneur who starts a business despite warnings of failure, the student who applies to college even though no one in their family has gone before, the activist who stands up to power despite threats and ridicule. In each case, hope is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward in spite of it. Hope also has a way of spreading. One person's courage can inspire another, and that spark can ignite into a movement. A single voice speaking out can embolden others to join in, and together they can turn fear into fuel for change. This is why choosing hope matters not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. Every time we reject the easy path of despair and choose the harder path of hope, we create a ripple effect that touches lives we may never know. Doubt often disguises itself as reason. It tells us to be realistic, to keep our expectations low, to avoid disappointment by never reaching too high. But the truth is, progress has never been made by those who limit their vision to what is easy or certain. The scientists who develop cures, the explorers who chart new paths, the leaders who bring divided nations together, they all share one thing, a hope that refuses to be silenced by doubt. Choosing hope does not mean ignoring fear. It means refusing to let fear have the final say. It is acknowledging the risks, the hardships, and the setbacks, but still deciding that the effort is worth it. It is looking at the same set of facts as everyone else and seeing not just the problems, but the potential solutions. It is refusing to let cynicism rob us of the belief that change is possible. Yes, we can is more than a slogan. It is a declaration of agency. It is the recognition that our actions matter, that our voices count, and that together we can shape the future. It reminds us that even in moments when we feel powerless, we have the ability to act, to help someone, to speak up, to work toward a goal that is bigger than ourselves. Hope transforms fear into resolve. It turns doubt into questions that can be answered, obstacles into challenges that can be overcome. It doesn't promise an easy road, but it promises that the road is worth traveling. And when we walk it together, each step taken in hope strengthens the next person's resolve to keep going. Fear and doubt will always be part of life, but they do not have to define it. When we choose hope, we reclaim the power to define it for ourselves, and in that choice, we find the strength to say with confidence, yes, we can